Yes, he's all that. He's a former military pilot, a retired Navy captain, retired astronaut. He's here with us talking about his new book. It's called Endurance. Please welcome Scott Kelly. So good to have you. You've done so many things, but I think, what we have to talk about is setting records in space flight, how long you were up in space. So you were at the International Space Station for a year, 2015-16. Mm-hmm. What was the mission? What were you set up there to do?
Yeah, so the idea behind me and my colleague, a Russian cosmonaut, Misha Kornienko, the idea behind us being in space for a year is someday we want to go to Mars. Okay. It's going to take a long time to get there, maybe 200 days. You'll have to spend a year on the surface, 200 days back. So there's a lot more we have to know about people living and working in space for long periods of time than we know currently.
So that's what the purpose was for being there.
Exactly.
So point blank, are we going to Mars?
I think we can go to Mars.
Really?
Yeah. I think we have a lot of the problems solved, the technical problems. I think now it's more of a political problem.
Okay, that'd be fascinating.
So like Mark said, you spent a lot of time at the International Space Station, the ISS. And for those of you who don't know, that's a laboratory in space where astronauts from different countries live and work together. So we've actually put together some images of Scott's last trip from NASA's website. So let's take a look.
So this is video of me and my two cosmonaut colleagues. Here's a Soyuz launch, the spacecraft that takes us to space. Takes about 9 minutes. And these are images approaching the International Space Station. And Misha and I, my colleague, floating through the hatch for the first time with a year in front of us, working with some of the experiments. This is a freezer we have to keep our science samples. We take a lot of samples on board, and here I'm just playing around in the space station. I think I'm going to bump my head here, floating into the lab module.
Wow.
Family dinner in space, and this is what happens if you're not careful during the family dinner.
That's so cool. And you actually, while you guys were up there, you took hundreds of photos, so many photos that all can be seen on NASA's website, right? And you're going to walk us through a few of those, too.
Do you have some? Yeah, let's take a look, because they are beautiful.
Yeah, so
what are we looking at?
Yeah, this is the space station, and it's 1 million pounds, covers the area of a football field, flying around in low Earth orbit. Really an incredible feat that we were able to build this thing in space.
That was home for a year.
Yeah.
But wait. How do you get this perspective?
From the space shuttle.
Okay, from the shuttle.
Yeah.
Or aliens.
Are there aliens? What did you see?
No aliens.
What is this?
What is this?
That was the Japanese cargo vehicle with the Aurora, which is really incredibly beautiful behind it.
And this? Is that Arctic? Is that like a cold front?
That was when I was there during the winter last. There was a huge winter storm and freezing temperatures in the Northeast. They actually had a specific name for it.
Yeah.
That I forget.
That's all right. What's the
polar
name?
vortex?
Oh, is that what it is?
What it was.
Okay. And next?
That's Italy at night. Very prominent landmass in the middle of the Mediterranean. It's hard to miss from space.
And what do we have?
That is my flower that I grew on space.
You grew that in outer space?
Isn't that the first?
No. It's my first.
It's your first.
You always have to have first, and this is my first.
That was your first.
I'm just getting Instagram shamed right now. I mean, this is bad. Like, nothing I would ever post would look as good as.
And we're going to have a link to all those photos right on our website, so you guys can check all of those out.
So let's talk about your memoir, because it's really endurance. It's called Endurance. The full title: A Year in Space, A Life of Discovery. I want to say this like, what's your favorite color? But what's your what do you take away from this as you look at your life? What are some highlights?
Well, I think there's a couple of big messages in this book. One is the fact that NASA and our international partners built this International Space Station. We've been operating it now over 16 years safely. It's the hardest thing we've ever done. Mm-hmm. And I think I'm a true believer, if we can do this, we can do anything. We can solve our problems on Earth. Yeah. And the other message is how a kid that was, this ADD kid, if I was in school now, I'd be the kid with ADD. And did very poorly in school until I was in college and found the book, The Right Stuff. And from that book, I decided I was going to change my life. And I think it's a story for people that need that kind of motivation like I did as a young person.
Wow.
That's
So
very
the message
cool.
was there when the student was ready. Boom, it popped up.
Absolutely.
And you have an identical twin brother, right?
Yes, I do.
And so when you were out in space, he was back here on Earth, your brother Mark, being studied by NASA. So what were they doing?
So my brother was also an astronaut.
Yeah.
And we were in the same astronaut class. We're identical twins. So NASA had data on him going back from when we interviewed, 1995. So once I was assigned to this flight, scientists realized, hey, this is a good opportunity for an interesting experiment where you have this guy in space and a genetically almost exactly the same person on Earth to use as a control subject.
Wow.
Wait,
Wow,
I heard
that's
though,
really cool.
you grew 3 inches in space.
What?
Which you must have loved coming back to your brother.
I stretched an inch and a half. And as soon as I saw him, the first thing he did is he said, turn around. And we stood back to back. And he said, yeah, we're the same height again.
Wait,
You
how do
went
you?
back to normal, like your normal height, though, right? How
Yeah.
long did that take?
I think instantly.
Oh, really?
Wait, what happened in space? How do you grow in space?
Well, you don't grow, you stretch. You know, you don't have gravity pushing us down. I would imagine if you measured yourself in the morning when you
Yeah.
woke up without standing up, you'd probably
You
be
could
an
be.
inch taller.
Oh, wow. So
That
I'm-
sounds so relaxing though.
Yeah.
yeah,
Just stretch out.
I know. Wow.
Is it could be painful though. I mean, your body's not used to that kind of stretching.
Let me go back because I've got teenagers.
Yeah.
Actually, we went to watch a space launch, a shuttle launch, and because of weather, we couldn't. It was down in Florida, but they were fascinated by it as kids. You have a children's book. That is what it's sort of runs parallel with your memoir.
Little bit, but the memoir isn't for kids. I mean, there's
Yeah.
stuff in there. I don't know if it's gotten a rating yet, but hopefully
But what's
PG.
what's the focus of the children's book then?
It's the same thing. It's a story about my life that kind of starts off as this kid that couldn't do his homework, risk taker,
Yeah.
figures out a spark that motivates him, and then later becomes an astronaut and spends a year in space.
But that's true. So many kids want to, they dream about stuff like that.
Absolutely.
To be a part of.
But I like hearing that it was in college. Because I think a lot of kids feel like if they don't do well in high school, that some of the opportunities are gone. And instead, you really found it later.
yeah, absolutely.
And you've also said that you kind of started off as more of like a tough fighter pilot kind of guy, and then when you were in space, you got a little softer. Why is that?
Well, I think spending a lot of time away from Earth, in my case, over 500 days, almost a year on one mission, and then looking down at how beautiful the planet is, but then listening to the news every night, and it's like almost always bad news.
Yeah.
Makes you definitely more of an empathetic person for the environment, but also I think for the human condition as well.
Did you? There must have been
Wow,
some
look at
wonderful.
this.
I know the pictures are just unbelievable. Scott, are there? I imagine when you're up there, you miss things.
Yeah.
Is there did you miss gingerbread cupcakes? Did you miss? No. What was really like when you came home? This is my first meal.
So the first thing I think most people crave is like fresh fruits and vegetables because we don't have a lot of that. So actually the first thing I really wanted was a salad, like a really good
Really?
salad.
Oh,
Because
wow.
you don't,
Interesting.
most of the food you have is like camping food or MREs.
Yeah, you
fresh
peel
stuff
open. Yeah.
is very rare. So that's what I crave the most, food-wise.
Yeah. That's unbelievable. How was driving then? When you got back behind the wheel of a car after a year?
They don't let you drive right away, but
Yeah.
it's like riding a bike, I guess.
Yeah. Interesting.
How long did you have to wait?
I don't remember. Probably a few weeks.
I've been in space. I can drive a car.
Oh man, I'll
That is
tell.
so cool.
Well, I know I'd be 6 inches taller if it weren't for Matt. He just brings me down every single day. Get off my back, you're ground. More information about Scott, his books, anything else, go to hallmarkchannel.com. The images from space are unbelievable. We live in the most beautiful planet, and our world is gorgeous. Let's keep it that way, shall we?
Absolutely. Thank you
Thank you
so
so much.
much.
Thank you.
And next we have Chef Stuart O'Keefe.
And I'll be showing you how to make a perfect grilled pork chop with a fig compo. Don't miss it.